Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Ward. I am an elementary education major here at Anderson University. Today I will be walking you through an example of a lecture you can use while teaching 5th graders about the Cold War. A great way to begin a lecture presentation is with a question. This question, what was the Cold War and how did the U.S. fight it, allows students to think about the material before engaging in it. Call in a few volunteers who would like to share what their view is on the Cold War. This allows them to spark their prior knowledge. This next slide shows the differences between the two countries that fought in the Cold War. Highlight everything that is important and use effective questioning to see if students can think of any similarities. This next slide provides a great definition on what the Cold War was. The Cold War was a period after World War II that involved a political, economic, and military rival between the U.S. and Soviet Union. Allow your students to write notes and keep up with the slides. Now that we have introduced the two countries that fought in this war and what the Cold War was, we can now dig deeper into the material. This slide reveals what the countries were competing for and how they were both superpowers. Have students tell what their definition of superpowers are and how it might relate to the Soviet Union and United States. Harry S. Truman was the president during this time. It's always important to highlight the political leaders and figures that are involved in these events. This slide provides us with a super cool representation of containment during the Cold War. Give students a good amount of wait time and allow them to observe the picture and share what they see. Make sure you explain why each part of the image is important. On the last slide, we had a drawn image. This slide shows real images from the Cold War. Allowed students to observe these pictures. Since many countries were threatened by communism after World War II, the U.S. created two plans that helped nations receive what they needed. These two plans were the Truman Doctrine and the Marshall Plan. Dig deeper into what both of these plans are and allow students to ask questions when needed. Germany is very interesting during the time of the Cold War because it was divided. Half of Germany was pro-American, while half of Germany was pro-Soviet. Another important event that was happening was the U.S. was airlifting supplies to pro-American West Berlin from 1948 to 1949. This was after the city was blockaded by the Soviet Union. Please explain why the city was being blockaded by the Soviet Union. This is a perfect image that describes that blockade by the Soviet Union. This is the Berlin Wall. It was up from 1961 to 1989. To prevent things like that blockade, the U.S. and other Western nations formed a military alliance called the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. This is also known as NATO. The countries highlighted blue in this image are countries that are involved with NATO. It is still present today. Another country that was affected by the communism movement was Korea. North Korea is communist while South Korea is non-communist. In 1950, the U.S. sent armed forces to Korea to prevent the communist takeover. This is called the Korean War. You can ask your students how this relates to Germany, since Germany was also a divided country during this time. It's important to bring up the facts of the Korean War as it is important to the Cold War. Make sure to highlight each thing on this presentation slide. Finally, we can end this presentation by saying what helped Korea remain a divided nation when fighting during the war in 1953. Thank you so much for watching this presentation, and I hope you can apply it to your 5th grade social studies classroom.